People of God, we live in a time unlike any other. The ground beneath us shakes, the foundations of truth are being overturned, and darkness rises like a flood. But I have come to tell you today, there is a power, a holy, divine, unstoppable power, to turn the world upside down. It is not the power of armies, not the force of politics, not the might of kings. It is not born of this world. It is the power that flows from the throne of the Almighty, the power that once walked through Galilee, overturned the tables in the temple, shattered chains in prisons, and rolled the stone from the tomb. It is the same power that resides in you. The power to turn the world upside down begins not in the places we expect, not in the centers of power, not on stages, not under the lights of applause, but in the hidden place. It begins in the quiet, in the unseen, in the stillness where no one is watching but God alone. That is where the fires of heaven fall. Before the mighty outpouring of Pentecost shook Jerusalem, there were 10 days of waiting in an upper room. 120 people, not in fame or power, but in surrender. They had no influence, no social leverage, no voice in the halls of Rome. But they had something greater. They had obedience. They had unity. They had expectation. And in that hidden place, heaven came down, tongues of fire descended, and the world was never the same again. We must understand this. The great moves of God always begin in obscurity. Moses was hidden for 40 years in the wilderness before the burning bush appeared. David was anointed while still in the fields, tending sheep in silence. Elijah heard not the Lord in the earthquake or fire, but in the still, small voice. And Yeshua himself, the Messiah, spent 30 years in the hiddenness of Nazareth before he ever preached a single sermon or performed a single miracle. This is the divine pattern. God forms his vessels in secret. He molds them in the cave, refines them in the desert, and prepares them in the place no one else sees. Because the weight of public power cannot rest upon a foundation that was not built in private surrender. You want to see chains break in your city, then let God break the chains in your own heart first. You want to speak with power, then learn to weep in prayer when no one is around. You want to carry revival? Then you must first become the altar where the fire falls. We live in a world obsessed with visibility, addicted to platforms and praise. But the kingdom is not impressed with noise. It is moved by hearts laid low. Before God sends a man or woman to confront the world, he first calls them to confront themselves in the place of prayer. And there, in the solitude, in the wrestling, in the tears and the groaning, in the hunger and the pressing in, something begins to happen. You are undone, you are purified, you are filled, the flesh is stripped away, and the Spirit is poured out. Do not despise the hidden place, do not rush it. Do not try to bypass it for something that looks more exciting. It is in that secret communion with God where identity is established, where burdens are received, where vision is given, and where heaven deposits something eternal into your soul. And when you emerge from that hidden place, you will not come out the same. You will come out carrying something of the presence of God, something the world cannot imitate, something religion cannot manufacture, something that shakes the ground beneath your feet. And when that happens, you don't need to strive to make an impact. You will carry the fire, and the fire will do the work. So go into the hidden place, dwell there, linger there, let God meet you there, for it is there, behind the veil, beneath the silence, beyond the distractions, that the power to turn the world upside down is born. The power to turn the world upside down does not walk in step with the world. It walks against it. It swims upstream. It refuses to bow. It challenges the current, resists the compromise, and stands where others fall. This power is not comfortable. It does not conform. It does not seek the approval of men, but the pleasure of God. It walks a narrow path, a path marked by resistance, sacrifice, and holy defiance. From the beginning, the people of God have always been a contradiction to the world around them. Abraham left everything familiar, walking away from the culture of Ur to follow a God he could not yet see. Moses stood before the throne of Pharaoh and declared words that had never before been spoken to the most powerful man on earth. "Let my people go." Elijah stood alone on Mount Carmel against 850 false prophets and the idolatry of an entire nation. Daniel prayed with his windows open, unashamed, when the decree said to stay silent. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood tall when every knee bowed to the idol, even if it meant the flame. John the Baptist cried out in the wilderness, wearing camel's hair, eating locusts, speaking truth without apology, and the apostles were beaten, imprisoned, threatened, and told to be quiet. But they said, "We must obey God rather than men." This is the power that walks against the flow. It does not accommodate evil, it confronts it. It does not mimic the culture, it transforms it. It does not negotiate with darkness, it exposes it by the brilliance of holy fire. To walk in this power, you must be willing to stand when standing costs you everything. Today the flow of the world is stronger than ever. The currents of confusion, compromise, moral relativism, and spiritual apathy are sweeping through every arena: entertainment, education, government, even the church. The voices of truth are being silenced, not always by violence, but by pressure, by shame, by accusation. And yet, in every generation, God raises up a remnant who refuse to be swept away. This power is not passive, it is prophetic. It speaks when the world says be quiet. It shines when the world says blend in. It lives righteously when unrighteousness is celebrated. It forgives when hatred is expected. It loves with truth, not flattery. It weeps for the lost while the world mocks, and it stands firm, not in pride, not in arrogance, but in conviction that comes from the Spirit of the living God. To walk in this power, you must count the cost. Because the moment you choose to go against the flow, you will face resistance. You will be misunderstood. You will be called names. You will be accused of being intolerant, judgmental, extreme. But remember, so was Yeshua. He was not crucified for blending in. He was not betrayed because he compromised. He was rejected because he stood against every current of sin, pride, and religion, and he spoke the truth that pierced to the heart. You cannot carry this power and be loved by everyone. You cannot turn the world upside down while trying to be popular. You must make peace with rejection. You must embrace the cross, because the world cannot be changed by people who look just like it. And yet, the paradox is this: when you walk against the flow, you carry within you the very thing the world desperately needs but does not know how to find. When you walk against the flow, you walk with God. You shine light into darkness. You become a signpost pointing to the kingdom. And that's when hearts are changed. That's when eyes are opened. That's when revival begins. So I say to you, do not fear the opposition. Do not bow to the pressure. Do not dilute the truth to be accepted. The power to turn the world upside down has never come from compromise. It has always come from courage. It is the courage to walk upstream, to speak out, to stand firm, to live holy, to burn bright in a world that has grown cold. Let the world go its way, but you, child of God, walk another way, walk the narrow path, walk against the flow, and you will find, as others have before you, that this is where the power flows, not with the crowd, but with the Spirit. Not with comfort, but with fire, and with that fire the world can be turned upside down. The power to turn the world upside down is not fueled by the things of this world. It is fueled by eternity. It does not draw its strength from what is seen, but from what is unseen. It is not rooted in earthly success, human applause, or temporary gain. It flows from a vision that transcends time, a heartbeat that echoes in eternity, and a fire that is not of this earth. The early disciples did not live ordinary lives because they were not living for an ordinary world. They had seen something greater. They had been gripped by the reality of a kingdom that had no end. They had walked with the risen Messiah, and their eyes were no longer fixed on this life, but on the one to come. That is what gave them power. That is what gave them courage. That is what gave them the ability to endure beatings, prison cells, rejection, mockery, and even death. They were not afraid to lose what they could not keep, because they had already found what they could never lose. When Stephen was stoned, he didn't cry out in fear. He looked up and saw heaven opened and Yeshua standing at the right hand of God. He was being crushed by the world, but he was fueled by eternity. He saw beyond the stones, beyond the hatred, beyond the pain. He saw the glory that awaited him, and that vision made him unstoppable. The Apostle Paul, beaten, shipwrecked, stoned, thrown into prison. How did he endure? He said, "Our light and momentary affliction is achieving for us an eternal weight of glory that far outweighs them all." He wasn't denying the pain, but he had set his eyes on the eternal. He said, "I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus." That was his fuel, not fame, not comfort, not recognition, just the prize of heaven, the joy of pleasing his master, the fire of a life poured out for eternity. This world offers many fuels, but all of them burn out. They are temporary, they decay. If you live for money, there will never be enough. If you live for influence, someone will always have more. If you live for approval, you'll be tossed by every shifting opinion. But when you live for eternity, you are anchored in something unshakable. You are filled with a power that does not fade when trials come. It does not flicker in the face of persecution. It grows stronger in the storm because it is not tied to what can be taken from you. You see, eternity rewires your thinking. It changes how you see time. Every day becomes a gift. Every moment becomes an offering. Every trial becomes a test, and every sacrifice becomes seed. Eternity fuels the heart with urgency, not the panic of the world, but the holy urgency of one who knows time is short and the kingdom is near. It fuels holiness, not out of fear, but out of love for the one who is eternal. It fuels obedience, not out of religion, but out of a longing to stand before the throne and hear, "Well done." This is the kind of power the world cannot understand. It is the power of a man who gives up wealth to preach to the poor. The power of a woman who walks away from luxury to serve the dying in obscurity. The power of a youth who says no to the glitter of sin because their eyes are fixed on a better reward. It is the power of those who are not swayed by popularity, not shaken by suffering, not bought by flattery, because their lives are already laid down on the altar of eternity. And the beauty of this power is that it multiplies. One life fueled by eternity can ignite 1,000 more. One soul ablaze with eternal vision can set a city on fire. One act of surrender can echo into generations. This is how the world is turned upside down, not by those who chase the temporary, but by those who burn with the eternal. So fix your eyes on what is above. Let eternity be your compass. Let heaven be your home. Let your prayers rise like incense that never fades. Let your work be done with eternity in mind. For when your life is fueled by what is eternal, your impact will never die. The world may resist you, it may mock you, it may forget you, but heaven will remember, and the ripples of your life will be felt long after your name is gone from the earth. Life for eternity, and you will walk in a power that this world cannot stop, a fire that death cannot quench, and a purpose that will echo in the halls of heaven forever. So I declare to you, child of God, you have the power to turn the world upside down. Not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit of the living God. Let the fire fall again. Let the secret place burn again. Let the saints rise again. The time is short. The call is urgent. The world is trembling. And heaven is watching. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. Now go, and turn the world upside down.